Hi dear fans, friends and subscribers of Cricket Happenings. Um, well, in this particular Cricket Happening show, while I'm talking to you right now, India in their second one-day international, as in the first match was washed out, the second match is underway, and I can tell you that India clearly are marching towards victory here, with India actually recovering to make 304 for 6 of their 50 overs after 4 of their batsmen were into the pavilion at a score of 132 in the 30th over. They recovered to 304 thanks to Suresh Raina slamming a century after a span of 4 years, and that could only really strengthen Suresh Raina now as far as the batsman is concerned. And while I'm talking to you, England have been really struggling, and currently they are really in a very sorry state. In fact, they are on the verge of losing the match now. It's the 36th over in progress, 148 for 9. It's a stiff task for England. I mean, it's very difficult for them to win from here on, and it's going to be pretty difficult. In fact, 52 for 4 in the sense the last 10 overs. So I'm just trying to see how many more runs they need. 147 runs to win from the last 11 overs with just 1 wicket in hand, and it's which is something which is going to be really beyond England, because both the tailenders now at the crease, James Treadwell and James Anderson. So I'll be talking about that, but before that I'm going to start off with this particular match, which is in the Tri-Series in Zimbabwe, and we are all looking forward to it as far as this Tri-Series in Zimbabwe is concerned. The one that is going to be keenly watched is the match between Australia and South Africa. And today Australia and South Africa clashed in the first of the matches in the Tri-Series in Zimbabwe, and what a match we had here. Australia putting up a score of 327 for 7, and South Africa challenging the total in a greater way than Australia would have imagined, and winning the match. What a match for South Africa. South Africa winning the match by 7 wickets. The first match, in fact, they had a victory, I would say, a very convincing victory at that, chasing 327. South Africa got to the total in I think it was in just 46.4 overs, with 2 people making a century. One was AB de Villiers, who went on to take the man of the match with an unbeaten 136 to his name, and the other one was du Plessis, who went on to score 106 of 98 deliveries. What knocks they were from both these batsmen. Tremendous play by South Africa, and as I said, South Africa and Australia are the ones who would be keenly watched in this Tri-Series in Zimbabwe, even though Zimbabwe are the hosts of the tournament. And what a beginning for the first match itself in the Tri-Series, where South Africa challenging a huge total set up by Australia of 327, winning the match by 7 wickets, a very convincing victory at that. In fact, just talking about this match, Australia went on to score 327 for 7 of their 50 overs, and it was thanks to a very good start provided by Aaron Finch and Phil Hughes, who came in today, and both of them put on 92 runs for the first wicket, and Hughes' contribution in that 92 was 51 runs, and he was a victim of the bowling of Imran Tahir. Well, while I'm talking here, I see that England have reached the 150 mark. We are in the 37th over. We'll come back to that later. And Aaron Finch continued in a very belligerent fashion as he went on to really slam the South African bowlers. He went after Parnell, Morkel, everybody were really getting some severe beating from the bat of Aaron Finch. They lost Mitchell Marsh, the highest scorer, pretty early. He was LBW bowler Imran Tahir, and Imran Tahir was the one who provided them the breakthrough by getting 2 quick wickets. After that, George Bailey chipped in with a wonderful 66 when he was and he actually joined in a very good partnership. In fact, 115 for 2 when Marsh departed. After that, it was a partnership between Finch and Bailey, and that added 104 runs for the third wicket. And Arun Finch starting off the tri-series with a bang here by making 102 runs. What a century that from Arun Finch. It was played in a very, very nice manner. He really decided to bide his time, not really attempting any big hits, but as and when an opportunity was provided to him, he was not a person to really. And while I'm talking here, there is some runs flowing here between the match between England and India. The score has suddenly galloped to 160 with James Treadwell actually going on to hit a six. I'm just trying to see who was the bowler here when James Treadwell hit a six. I reckon it was Ravindra Jadeja who has been hit for six by Treadwell. So there's still some fireworks going on from the England camp here, even though it is a very big task for them. But well, England are not giving up, which is very good to see. Well, so just continuing the story between Australia and South Africa. Well, this was a very good partnership which took the score from 115 to 229, and then Finch departed to the bowling of McLaren for 102. After that, Bailey, as I said, chipped in with 66. Maxwell failed out for 7, and then Stephen Smith then really played a quick fire innings of 31, being a victim of McLaren. And finally, Mitchell Johnson in the last over went after Wayne Parnell and smacked him for 21 runs to remain not out on 23. Also hit 2 sixes in that particular over and a boundary. And finally, Australia, thanks to that good start provided and Arun Finch century, went on to sit on a pretty 327 for 7 of their 50 overs. The bowling, Dale Steyn, 10 overs, no maiden, 1 for 54, was really not very impressive, I thought. Parnell was taken to the cleaner, 7 overs, none for 66 for him. That does not make any happy reading. Mone Morkel also was under the hammer, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 263. McLaren bowled 9 overs for 64 runs with 2 wickets to his name. Imran Tahir, from whatever the South African bowlers suffered, I thought Imran Tahir was the best. 10 overs, no maiden, 2 for 45, and Duminy bowled 4 overs, none for 23. As far as the South African effort was concerned, chasing a score of 327 was an onerous task, but but the start was not so good. Quinton de Kock, in fact, they lost 2 quick wickets. First, they lost Hashim Amla when he was out to the bowling of Richardson for 24, and then Quinton de Kock was a victim of the bowling of Stark for 19, and then the score read 51 for 2. But after that, what a partnership from du Plessis and A.B. de Villiers. They really, initially it was, they started off a bit sedately, but later on they really adjusted to the demands of the game by playing some wonderful strokes. None of the bowlers could be spared. If you look at the bowling figures that the Australians had, Johnson 10 overs leaked 63 runs. Mitchell Stark leaked 62 runs of his 8 overs with 2 wickets. Kane Richardson went for 68 of his 10 overs with 1 wicket. Mitchell Marsh 5 overs cost him 36. James Faulkner 8.4 overs, no maiden, none for 59. Smith bowled 2 overs, went for 20, and Maxwell bowled 3 overs, went for 20. And finally, South Africa in 46.4 overs on the match, thanks to that partnership, which was for the third wicket from 51 for 2. They took on the score. Du Plessis and A.B. de Villiers took on the score to 257. So that essentially meant was a 206-run partnership for the third wicket that took South Africa home. And Du Plessis, well, he looked marvellous in his knock of 106 before he was a victim of Stark. De Villiers was totally confidence personified, and he was really, and it was very good to see A.B. de Villiers actually get into some form, because he struggled in the series against Zimbabwe, but here he was getting his bearings right and really giving the Australians the dose of their own medicine with his bat here. And A.B. de Villiers went on to take the man of the match with an unbeaten 136. But the aggressive partner was Du Plessis, I thought, in that particular partnership. Duminy then finally was there. He hit one beautiful 6. I thought it was for the bowling of Kane Richardson when he hit him over the umpire set for a 6. And to see Duminy do it was something a bit surprising. But Duminy is normally a person who really likes to be calm, doesn't attempt any big hits, but we saw Duminy today doing that by hitting Kane Richardson clean as a whistle over the umpire, over the head of the umpire for a 6. So Duminy was not around 33, and Australia would have never imagined that South Africa would be chasing it in such a manner. In fact, they did it so convincingly. A score of 327 was brought down by South Africa in just 46.4 overs. So that was splendid stuff, I thought, from South Africa. And in the meanwhile, I see that India have won the second one-day international against England, as England have been all out for 161, and India has won the match by 133 runs by the Duckworth-Lewis method. The reason being that the match was reduced to 47 overs a side game, and India have taken a 1-0 lead in this one-day international series. So just talking about this, the South Africans, so there's nothing much to talk. South Africa winning the first match of the tri-series against Australia. They played against Australia and Zimbabwe, and they won it in absolute style, and it was a great challenge for them, but they took up the challenge and brought down Australia, and South Africa took 4 points in this particular match. Now I'm going to take you down to the next match, and this is between India and England, which has just finished, as I said, where India have won the second one-day international by a big margin of 133 runs. So as far as India were concerned, well, India, they didn't have it. They found the going very tough when they started. In fact, the toss was, I reckon, it was won by England. I'm just wanting to have a check on that. In fact, yes, it was England who actually batted. India actually batted first. And India were finding it a bit of a struggle. In fact, the openers were dismissed pretty early. Shikhar Dhawan, Chris Woakes was the one who actually gave them the breakthrough. He gave them a double breakthrough. First, he picked up the wicket of Shikhar Dhawan when Shikhar Dhawan was caught behind by Butler of the bowling of Woakes for 11 of 22 balls to 2 fours. And then Virat Kohli once again disappointed. Virat Kohli has been really struggling, and today once again that happened, as Virat Kohli did not have a good start to the one-day series, as well as he was gone trying to attempt a stroke where he was trying to put Chris Woakes over the mid-off region, Alistair Cook taking a catch which was bobbing into him, and Virat Kohli was once again gone for a duck, which was a big disappointment for India. But after that, there was a brief revival for the third wicket, with the third wicket partnership between Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane, who put on 91 runs. And while that partnership was going on, that was the time the next wicket went, which was of Ajinkya Rahane. When James Treadwell was brought into the attack, the spinner struck pretty early. In fact, he broke that stand of 91 between Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane, when he had Ajinkya Rahane stumped by Butler behind the stumps for 41 of 47 deliveries with 4 fours. So that made the score 110 for 3, and after that, once Ajinkya Rahane was gone, Rohit Sharma was also a goner, as Rohit Sharma was also a victim of the bowling of James Treadwell, as the ball from James Treadwell actually turned and he was gone. So that was as far as that particular wicket was concerned. And suddenly there was a lot of pressure on India. The reason being that Chris Woakes was actually bowling in the right areas, and that really piled on the pressure on India. So suddenly the score, after the revival from Ajinkya Rahane and Rohit Sharma, once again there was India were in a bit of a bother, as the score was 132 for 4 in the 30th over, and only 20 overs remained. But that 20 overs which remained, which was really taken full toll of by Suresh Raina. In fact, India were in a real spot of bother at 132 for 4 in 30th over, but suddenly runs were cascading. Even though Suresh Raina actually started off a bit shakily, finally runs were cascading from the blade of Suresh Raina in a partnership with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. which took on the score from 132 for 4 in the 30th over to 276 in the 47th over. So that was good stuff. Suresh Raina was playing very confidently. He was pulling well. He was moving his legs and moving sixes of the English bowlers. And well, he went on to make a century after a gap of 4 years. And what a feeling that would be for Suresh Raina. Suresh Raina ended up with 100 of 75 balls with 12 fours and 3 sixes. Mahendra Singh Dhoni was a passive partner in that partnership with Suresh Raina, where he contributed 52 runs of 51 balls with 6 fours. And again, those 2 wickets were also taken by Chris Woakes, who was the most successful bowler today. Finally, Jadeja not out 9, Ashwin not out 10, and India, thanks to that Suresh Raina century, went on to a score of 304 for 6 of their 50 overs. We'll also be having a look at the bowling figures here. As I said, Chris Woakes was the most successful bowler, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 52 runs and 4 wickets in his bag. James Anderson, 10 overs, 1 maiden, none for 57. Chris Jordan, taken to the cleaners today, didn't get his line right at all. He was pretty scratchy with the ball, and even we could see David Shaker in the English camp really scratching his head as to how the Chris Jordan was bowling, and that is where I thought Suresh Raina really went after Chris Jordan by carving him for runs. 10 overs cost him 73 runs. Ben Stokes, 7 overs, none for 54. Joe Root, 3 overs, none for 14. And Treadwell bowled with a semblance of respectability, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 42 runs and 2 wickets. Now, as far as England were concerned, the chase was a big one, 305 to win. Well, Alistair Cook and Alex Hales started. Alex Hales looked impressive in his knock of 40 of 63 balls with 5 fours. But then, while things were going on, an opening partnership of 50 was added between Alistair Cook and Ian Bell. But I know they had done that in 10 overs. But that was the time Mohammad Shami struck by getting 2 wickets in a single over. First, he picked up the wicket of Ian Bell. Ian Bell shouldering arms to a delivery which was actually pitched on the off stump, and probably Ian Bell thought the ball would be swerving away, but instead the ball came on to go on to hit the top of the off stump, and Ian Bell was walking, bowled by Mohammad Shami for 1. And in the same over, Alistair Cook was the victim of Mohammad Shami, as he tried to flick a ball from Mohammad Shami. It was wrapped on the pads and up went the umpire's finger. He was gone LBW bowled Mohammad Shami for 19 of 33 balls with 2 fours. After that, Joe Root also departed early as he was bowled by Bhuvaneshwar Kumar for 4, and suddenly this English innings, which was looking solid at 54 for no loss, in the 11th over slumped to 63 for 3, and there was a further slump later after Joe Root went away. Alex Hales, after playing a very good innings, was also a victim. Ravindra Jadeja bowled excellently, I thought. He was the one who picked up the most important wicket of Alex Hales, as he was caught by R. Ashwin of the bowling for 40 of 63 balls with 5 fours, which made the score 81 for 4 in the 21st over. And then they had Morgan and Butler at the crease. But when Butler went, Jadeja kept on tempting the batsman, and Joe Butler took the gauntlet, but he failed in that as he was caught by Kohli of the bowling of Jadeja for 2. He made the score 85 for 5 in the 23rd over. Owen Morgan and Stokes were there at the crease, where the hope was there for England still to usurp the total. But then we saw that Ashwin picked up the wicket of Ian Morgan for 28 of 45 balls with 3 fours. After that it was Jadeja all the way, as Jadeja first picked up Ben Stokes for 23. Chris Woakes couldn't do much with the bat, 20 of 23 balls, he was gone. And finally Suresh Raina had Jordan LBW for naught. Treadwell was out for 10, and it was all over. In fact, England couldn't really put up any much of a resistance, and they were all out for 161. And the bowling, the credit will definitely go to Ravindra Jadeja for very good bowling figures of 7 overs no maiden, 28 runs, 4 wickets. Ravichandran Ashwin, 9.1 overs no maiden, 2 for 38. Was spinners bowled pretty well. Mohammad Shami was impressive, 6 overs no maiden, 2 for 32. Mohit Sharma wicketless but bowled well, 6 overs 1 maiden, none for 18. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, 7 overs went for 30, and he got 1 wicket. And all the bowlers who were used got wickets, barring Mohit Sharma. Suresh Raina, 3 overs no maiden, 1 for 12, and the match was over with India registering a victory, and as I said, taking a 1-0 lead in this one-day series by winning this match. and it was all over. India 304 for 6, winning the match by 133 runs. As I said, the Duckworth-Lewis method, because the match was reduced to 47 overs, and India winning the match. So that's it, dear fans and subscribers, which is finally brings an end to my Cricket Happenings show for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching Cricket Happenings as usual. Your host Ram will be there tomorrow to cover whatever the international matches that will be taking place tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye from your host Ram Studios. Thank you.